Hello, everyone. Today we have a very special guest with us. We have Mr. Raj Kapoor joining us. He's a very dear guest. We met a few months back, had a great discussion, and today hopefully have a small semblance of that discussion again with him. So, how are you feeling, Raj sir? How are
I'm
things
always
going?
good. You know that, Harsh. I'm always feeling good and I'm fine. Enjoying life, enjoying the space.
Got it. Awesome. What would you say? You're still bullish on the crypto space right now, considering all the things which have happened?
I have a very simple thing to say. When there's a bear market, there's always a bull market. It's a game. It's a game which we have all been playing for years and years. It's just a question of how much when somebody's going to blink. I also believe that when somebody's selling, remember somebody's buying. I think that's
Correct.
what we should be looking at. Let's look at the positives. Let's look at it. It's served us well in the last so many years. Just because there is a bear market, things are not happening the way people want it to happen. And why should they? Why should people want things to
Correct.
happen? These things happen, and that's a natural order of things. The
Yep.
natural order of things also takes the rubbish away from the system. And once all the bad things are out of the system, then the real core remains, and that has more opportunity for growth because then you have pure growth. You don't have the bad players. We learn from all these mistakes. Let's learn, let's enjoy. Of course, I cannot say the same for the people who've lost money in this space. I cannot say let them enjoy, but have patience. It'll bounce back. Just have
Of,
patience. Dig your heels in deep. You'll reach there.
of course, I really appreciate the positive outlook, and that is what the focus is in, right? So this is kind of like the second cycle for me. I was a part of the 2008 subprime crisis, and back then everyone was criticizing, how bad the situations are. And you look at
Yes,
in 2014, 15, everyone forgot about it, and we reached new highs like ever. This is just another pivotal point. That's all.
it's a blip. It's a blip. And, if you look at the larger picture in the history of any currency or any investment, it's a very small blip. You look at the large, you see, currency and money, the history of money has been for hundreds of years. You see
Mhm.
how there has been a depreciation. You're right. The 2008 crisis was not just anywhere, not just growth globally. It was in India also. We felt the repercussions, and the
Correct.
repercussions. Who remembers them today? But remember one thing: in 2008, because of all this, came about Bitcoin. So I think that's a great outcome.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Let's enjoy the outcome.
Exactly. So I would just like to, give a small introduction about Mr. Raj. So he's the founder of the Indian Blockchain Alliance. Prior to that, he's done tremendous amount of work in the corporate world, right? If you could just kind of give us, a short background regarding what you've done in the past and what you're currently doing with some of those startups that you're currently working with, it'll be really helpful.
Sure, I'll do that. See, yes, I've been. Oh, well, let's put it this way. I'll go back a few years. Maybe I'll go back in 2009, 10, not 9, 10, end of 2010.
Hmm.
Before that, I've been deeply involved in business strategy, a lot of it in cross-border businesses. I used to do a lot of work for American companies, helping them to come to India, set up an established base here, work with them, work with several governments within that space, within that products, again in the tech space, of course. Uh,
Hmm.
in one such incident where I was in the USA in about 2010, it is somewhere in the month of December, uh, I got exposed to blockchain. Actually, I got exposed to crypto. I was a miner. I started mining. A lot of people
Hmm.
don't know that, but I started mining just as a hobby because I had nothing to do in the evenings. I don't drink and I don't go to pubs. So one of the guys says, "Come with me to the mine. Let's mine." All right, let's mine. I don't know what the hell mining is about. I really did not know he was going to teach me something which was going to be so useful as a technology. I'm not saying crypto. I'm saying blockchain. So
Yep.
I started mining in 2010, learned the deep dive of all what blockchain is all about because crypto was a great use case of the blockchain. And
Hmm.
as I say, my life, I always say my life started with speculation, but went into a revolution. So my life is from
Hmm.
speculation, that is crypto, to the revolution, that is blockchain. So I went into that deep dive. In between, was between in the last 12 years, I worked very closely when the Ethereum Foundation was being put up. Because those are the only initiatives happening around that time, 14, 15, 2015, when the Ethereum Foundation was founded. At the same time, around that time, Hyperledger was founded. So I did a lot of work with those guys. Enjoyed that space. I was in the US at that time.
Hmm.
And the best part, I think around 16, 17, when MIT labs opened up the blockchain labs in the United, like a sandbox where people could come experiment. You don't have to be with MIT. You could be anybody in the blockchain space. You could come experiment, talk to the peers, talk to people in the community, and I think that really
Hmm.
helped me. There's a lot of use cases in the blockchain space, and I said, haven't looked back ever since. So I'm combined my skills of strategic thought processes, which I used to do before, strategy, business development strategy, and blockchain. I think the two combinations have been really good for me because from a tech background, I've read and I'm good at it now. And from an implementation and the business aspect of it, I was always there. And the very fact that I've been working for the last about 40 years almost, so that experience, along with the layering of blockchain, should I say, really has done me well. I'm not complaining.
Got it. No, no, definitely sounds so interesting, right? A lot of people, they tend to kind of misunderstand. They think that blockchain, the crypto, the tokens, it's all the same, right? They think that Bitcoin is crypto, and I'm like,
Yes,
Bitcoin is just the starting point. It is
it's
a
a
whole
starting
lot
point.
deeper. Yeah, the rabbit hole goes a lot more deeper, and you need to get into that. It is the whole new way of creating technology. It's a whole new way of internet, of how you're seeing the internet. Bitcoin is
Absolutely.
currency is just a small use case. It is much more bigger than that, isn't it?
Of course, of course. It's also taught us a lot of things. It's also taught us that a technology can become an institutional technology, not just an information technology, because it has now the power to create an economy around it. From economics, we are now moving to tokenomics. And that's something
Correct.
which we should all know because the future of money is all about tokenomics. And I think that's what it's really taught us. Not only has it taught us something new, it has taught us something very exciting. And I think whoever's in this space, and I have seen this in the last, where you talked about the Bitcoin and blockchain. In 2018, we established the India Blockchain Alliance specifically for this purpose to make people understand that we are not talking Bitcoin, we are
Yep.
talking blockchain, and there's a difference. But well, everybody when I was in 2018, I came in, everyone, with almost without exception, used to ask me, "Sir, Bitcoin le kya?" So that has now at least gone. People ask me beyond the Bitcoin, the crypto part. Now people ask me about Web3 or the metaverse or DeFi or anything else, NFTs, everything but not just crypto. So now the world has that paradigm shift from 2018 till now has been massive. Again, a very small part in the longevity of the money in the market. But bottom line, it's actually made a lot of people either very rich or either very aware, or actually made a lot of people look at the future because it's a very futuristic technology
Mhm.
and it hasn't been replicated in 12 years. It's not going to be replicated very fast. So I think we get a good sweet spot here, basically.
Got it, got it. So you mentioned that this mindset shift, right? Where people would originally ask, how do we buy Bitcoin, and now they're asking more about blockchain. Would you say it is just in the international markets, or even in Indian markets, you've seen that change coming in as well?
No, I've seen the Indian market evolve. I mean, I've been in the last I think in the last this year itself, I must have been to about 30 or 40 different events in India.
Hmm.
Yes, there is again a lot of asymmetry in information, and a lot of people I've seen also who till 2018, 19 but crypto specialists have now become Web3 specialists.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the thing which I hate it personally because that also spreads wrong information in the markets. But bottom line, that's okay. But we also see people evolving.
Hmm.
Once upon a time, the wallet was only used for storing your crypto. Today, we talk
Hmm.
about wallet and we talk about Web3 and how everything else is going to be connected by the wallet. I think that entire journey has been brilliant. I think a
Hmm.
lot of Indians now are getting into the bandwagon. I think India has talent, a lot of talent, and I see a lot of good talent. I see a lot of bullshit also, but that's
Yep.
fine. That's in any business, not just in the crypto business.
Yeah.
Forget the scams and forget everything. Wherever there is something new, there has got to be people who are going to take advantage as well.
Yep.
So don't just look at the scams. Look at the value the technology will bring to us. Why the government of India, despite whatever stance we have right now, we've got 90 plus projects in the blockchain domain. Now, isn't that saying something? And I think when you're talking about blockchain domain, if you're talking about public blockchains, there is a token involved somewhere. So
Hmm.
let's face it, if Indian government is not flinching from implementing blockchain projects, why the heck should we? We've got much more choices. We've got private and public blockchains to work on. So huge market.
Got it. So you're saying that the Indian government is having 90 blockchain projects right now, real time.
In 16 states, I'm working in 12 of them. So I know that for sure. In
Okay,
fact, right
that's
now I'm working very closely with the Goa government on a couple of very solid projects. Announcement will come maybe about 10, 15 days from now. Some major announcement is going to come. Keep it tuned. Keep yourself tuned. I'm going to give the big announcement in another 15 days, maybe a month, but depending on the government. But we've already signed a very nice partnership here on a couple of things. And the growth in this space, and I'm talking about not just the crypto space, let's talk about Web3 and the blockchain space, is going to be massive.
Mhm.
We have
Got
right
it.
now, but I was reading the NASCOM report some time back, and that was the 2021 report, which said that around right now we have about 50,000 crypto jobs, but that number is going to become 800,000 or 8 lakhs in by 2030. Now,
Mhm.
why would it become 8 lakhs if there wasn't mass adoption of the technology? Why would you need 8 lakh people
Exactly.
then? You would not need them. In fact, now you need almost 100,000 people every year coming into the mainstream. We still haven't
Correct.
reached there, but it's coming slowly but steadily. That's one. Our $40 million market is going to become a $240 million market in another few years from now. I see it
Mhm.
coming before 2030. They say, well, they predicted 2030. I say it's going to come way before that. There will be adoption will actually really become really accelerated over the next couple of 2 3 years, because I see a lot of government adoption, and that's a very positive sign. If government adopts, and they don't talk about crypto there, they talk about blockchain. There's a big
Correct.
difference. That's exactly what you were saying, Harish, in the beginning.
Yep.
Bitcoin, blockchain.
Correct.
Let's keep them as two separate things.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is like a vehicle on the highway. The highway is blockchain.
Yeah.
That's Bitcoin is just one vehicle on it. Plenty of other vehicles.
Bitcoin is just like the poster, I would say, right? It's just the front. There is a lot more deeper it goes inside. Once you get inside,
Yes,
Bitcoin is like the allure, like the beautiful model which you show for getting people
yes, yes,
inside.
yes, yes, yes. You see, blockchain is the back-end revolution.
Yeah.
It's not the front-end revolution. Bitcoin, as I always say, is the Amitabh Bachchan of blockchain. Everybody
Exactly.
knows Amitabh Bachchan.
Yeah. Exactly. So you mentioned a lot of interesting projects which the government and even other personal projects which you're working with, right? They're working on. Could you share light on some of them? Because I just was in Dubai in the month of October, right, for GitX and the World Blockchain Summit. The amount of innovation which I saw over there was absolutely mind blowing. You can
Mind
buy
blowing.
real estate with crypto. They are doing it in the logistics space. They are using it in the supply chain space. The amount of use cases which I'm seeing over there is absolutely tremendous, right? Could you share, one such project or two such projects which you think which you are
Sure. I
working
mean,
with truly stand out?
yeah, I think let's put it this way: the government of India, see, e-governance is going to benefit the maximum by blockchain. So the government
Hmm.
of India is doing a lot of programs within this space. Now, for example, the public distribution system, the ration card system, that
Correct.
there's a lot of POCs going on implementing the PDS, that's a public distribution system on the blockchain, so that everybody
Hmm.
gets so there is more clarity, transparency, traceability of how the food is moving from A to B. That is one
Got
very.
it.
I think that's going to be a good use case in the long run, anyways. While we are
Hmm.
also experimenting in a couple of states on blockchain-based voting, but these are at a very early stage right now, nascent stage. What has already matured to
Got it.
quite an extent is the supply chain. Supply chain, we basically the government is going to save 60% of its costs by
Hmm.
implementing a very robust supply chain, especially when it comes to fruits, vegetables, meat product, whatever. In fact, I'm working very closely with on a pilot with one of the state governments, which is actually put the supply chain on whiskey and booze. Okay, they call it indirectly. They call it the booze chain. By the way, that's just for fun. It is basically done so that we can actually track and trace authentic booze rather than they get in between they put spurious liquor, which could be harmful for a lot of
Correct.
people. I mean, I don't drink liquor,
Yeah.
so I really don't know. I always believe it's harmful anyways, but that's my choice. So we're actually tracking and tracing every bottle of booze right from the manufacturer till the retailer. It's all on the supply chain, and everything, even
Got it.
before that, in the back end, the supply chain of right from the time the rye and everything else comes from the farms to the distillery. So back end supply chain, front end supply chain, both. That's very interesting, and I think that works well
Hmm.
for everything. There's another one we are doing for the one of the state governments as well. We are putting their entire all their temples on the metaverse, and basically using the Web3, and there are going to be NFTs. They're going to be also be a gamification aspect of it, putting out all that. So that's pretty interesting. And I'm telling you, we're
Hmm.
scratching the surface. I'm personally working on more than 57 different use cases. If I speak about all of them, I think we'll have 5 sessions. We'll have to have 5 more sessions, but we won't keep to that. So metaverses are coming up for ready from a tourism perspective. I'm
Hmm.
working with one of the Arab governments on, basically doing a lot of work in the metaverse. We recently, by the way, this is something interesting. I like that one. There's a project I worked on right now in where while we all are aware of the metaverse now, where we have a virtual experience, etc., what we also did, what one thing missing in the metaverse right now is, well, you can go and I can meet you in the metaverse, Harsh. I can meet my friends, anybody out there. But what do I do beyond that? Now, we recently had very nice competition on the metaverse where 7,000 chefs, and this is in the Middle East, we had 7,000 chefs creating an NFT of their recipes, very rare recipes, and making that product and displaying it in the metaverse. Now, somebody would say, what the hell will I do with it? I mean, I can't, even if I want to buy it, I don't know what it tastes like. So we actually brought in haptic technologies to bring in the smell, touch, smell in the metaverse. That was something. So, if I
Hmm.
have to buy an NFT of that particular Michelin chef, I could get the aroma inside. There was a wristband attached, and you get those. We brought in the technologies, we merged it along with the technologies. That is something interesting because now I can come into the metaverse. I can get the same experience I would get in, say, if I walk into a coffee shop, I can smell the coffee. So, right, if I'm giving, I gave my friend a box of chocolates, I could smell the chocolates. I could even taste them, excepting the physical taste. Physically, I could not have them, but physically, they could be delivered to me. So we could get the taste, we could get the smell, we could get the sensations. So the metaverse becomes more of a realistic place to go to. Adoption is required. It's not going to be very interesting if you can't, if these things cannot be really inculcated. So we brought that up,
Got
and
it.
that experiment went very well. So I think that would be my most happy space to be at this time. We brought in the
Got it.
technology. The first attempt went really well. seven
Got
thousand
it. So
chefs came. 7,000 chefs actually made 7,000 different recipes. NFTs were sold out in less than 4 hours.
got it. Interesting. So it won't be like a single, visual headset, which most metaverses are focusing on, right? It's going to be
Yes,
multi-sensory headset. So it'll have
absolutely.
sense, smell, touch, hearing, everything put together.
Everything. So that makes it more immersive. That gives it a more. See, things will develop even further as we go, I'm sure. But at
Got it.
least now, you and I can go in the metaverse and go to a coffee shop and actually say, all right, I'm going to buy this, and you get the physical stuff. You can buy it there. Physical stuff will be
Hmm.
delivered to your house.
Got it.
So
Got it.
there you go. Interesting.
That really sounds interesting. But the one criticism with metaverse is that if we have so many different metaverses, right, it kind of defeats the
Mm.
purpose because each and every metaverse is separate. The interconnection of metaverses, right, that's going to be really vital. If someone like
Very, very
Facebook does
nice.
that, that's going to be a very useful thing because they already have half the population of Earth on the platform, right? If Facebook
Yes.
cannot do that, what other options do we have instead of this interconnectability?
I don't agree with the Facebook model very well. Actually, they got it all wrong. It is a great
Okay.
ideation, not from the ideation perspective. Idea was great. They have the
Hmm.
largest community. It was just a
Exactly.
natural extension for them to get into the metaverse. It is a natural extension.
Hmm.
What they didn't do was didn't realize that they're moving way too slow as compared to the rest of the world in terms of this. They may be the largest in terms of an application or a platform, but
Hmm.
their metaverse strategy was extremely faulty. You look at the metaverses, you see Mark Zuckerberg's original look, pathetic.
Hmm.
Looks like a caricature. Okay, people don't want to watch caricature or cartoon movies, even if it's on Facebook or anywhere else. They want to wear
Hmm.
something more photorealistic, and that's where the photorealistic metaverses are doing better. Of course, the engagement model has to become better for all of them. Otherwise, half of them are going to become graveyards. As it is,
Exactly.
we are seeing a lot of MAUs falling.
Hmm.
So MAUs, that's the monthly average users, falling. So we are
Hmm.
seeing a lot of that happening. But we're also seeing that, all right, people are thinking now, how do we make our metaverse worth living or worth coming to? Why would anybody come to a metaverse? It's the same thing. Why would anybody come to a shop? Or why would anybody come to a mall? Or why would anybody come to a tourism place? Okay, I live in Goa, for example. Okay, I know why
Hmm.
people come to Goa.
Yeah.
So exactly the same way we have to think of our metaverse. We have to think ahead of ourselves and say, okay, I'm making something now. People say, oh, brands are coming, this is coming. Where's the brand strategy? Union Bank of India recently has gone on the metaverse. What is the strategy? What is the idea of it? No, we just want to be on the metaverse. You can't have
Exactly.
that. You can't have that. You've got to have a strategy behind it. Then it take time.
Yep.
Facebook never had the strategy. They just felt they had the largest number of people which they can onboard, and lots of numbers
Yeah.
were being crunched. A lot of the Stanford, Wharton guys talking, all right, big numbers, great stuff. No strategy. All numbers, no
Yep.
strategy. The strategy was
Without
missing.
vision, without vision, everything else is lacking.
Everything. So I'm not going to criticize them. Everybody has their way. it's a learning curve, I think, and all of us have learned, but we've also learned from other failures, and there is
Correct.
no harm in failing. But
Yeah.
that should bring you back to the drawing board, stronger, wiser, and with a better vision. I think strategy is missing right now in the metaverse. Everybody's just jumping onto the bandwagon without really having a
Yeah.
strategy. One brand is gone,
Yeah.
every brand wants to get into it. Flipkart recently went into it. Let's have a question. Sometimes I ask Flipkart question: what happened after you went to the metaverse? Did your sales increase? Did it decrease? How many people are coming in right now? Well, you go into the metaverse right now, you'll come to know the answers. I won't say anything beyond that. But that also destroys the market.
Yeah.
So have your
Yeah.
vision, have your strategy right now very clear. And then I think I'm happy to share with the people who want to do that. That's a different issue altogether. But bottom line is, I'm working on 11 metaverses now with a very
Got it.
clear, distinct vision for each one of them. And then I'm going to bridge all of them together. That's
Got it.
what. So we try to think of the future. I'm not saying I may
Yeah.
succeed. I may fail. I'm not saying
But
that.
at
But
least you're
bottom line
trying
is,
something different.
we're trying something different. We can't be the same and say, oh, well, you can have a meeting out there, or you can have a concert out there. Enough people are doing that.
Yeah.
How do you go
Exactly.
beyond that? Let's not think beyond the Fortnites and the Decentralands and the Sandbox. And we have to think beyond. Even they are seeing a lot
Exactly.
of people falling off. In fact, a couple of them have become virtual graveyards now.
Yeah.
So
Decentraland is already that, right? The article which came out last
Decentraland
month.
is becoming a graveyard. It's too early. I mean, it's. I don't enjoy it anymore. I don't go there anymore
Correct.
myself.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. So that's a very important the differentiation, right? People are going after either it's the shiny object syndrome, which people are running after in the metaverse, or the VCs are willing to put money. So they are these founders. They were like they know the VCs want the money, so just create something without having a real vision behind it. Without that
Absolutely.
founder's vision, it is just an empty attempt to make something. That's all.
Especially now with after the FTX fallout and everything crashing miserably, founders will have to start reinventing the way they start thinking, their evaluation models, their business models, all will change, which is a great thing in the long run. That's how change happens. And when change happens, good models emerge, more robust models emerge, whether it is for the metaverse, whether it is in the blockchain, whether it is for crypto, whether it is for NFTs, whether it is for
Correct.
Web3, whatever we call it. A good fallout is required for the wheat and the chaff to be separated. That's what's happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think this is going to give a major change that, the Web3 was criticized for not having a valid business model, right? The only focus in Web3 used to be get an ICO done, get an IEO done, get the token price pumped up. Once that is done,
Absolutely.
it's done. That's it.
It was just wallets making transactions and nothing, no real stuff. So now the fluff will go away, the hype
Correct.
will die down to the extent where realism comes in. So when we have real world solutions, that never goes anywhere.
Correct.
Real world solutions which are actually solving real world problems, whether it's in the Web3 space, infra, other anywhere space, they will sustain. Quality will always sustain. The hype is going, and now people
Absolutely.
will not fall for those again. They burn their fingers and much more. So I'd say the fallout is good for the industry, bad for people individually, but good for the industry. But again, have patience. It'll come back
Absolutely.
again.
Absolutely. Even I kind of say that, blockchain is a technology is in the development stage, right? If you want to
Yeah,
create a new vaccine or a new technology, it takes 5 to 10 years, right? It's just in the same learning curve right now. We need to give it time.
absolutely.
We can't say that, it needs to be perfect from day one. It's not possible.
You can't. You can't. No technology has been successful from day one. It has taken time to evolve. You take any technology.
Exactly, exactly. So coming back to the earlier point you mentioned, right, that the government of India is doing a lot of innovative things around that. So what would you say, yeah, that the stance on the taxation part, right? They added 1% TDS, they added income tax,
Yes.
right? What is your stance? Are they only against exchanges, or what do you think the government thought process was
Okay,
behind
let's
that,
put it this
and
way.
how it would impact it in India?
All right. It's a good question. The thing is, a lot of people ask me this question. Let's put it this way. Would we have a ban or would we pay the tax? That's a question number one. We can answer this ourselves. Everybody has a different answer. It's fine. My take is right now they have acknowledged the fact that trading is there and there's some sort of a profit is created, so they put a 30% tax. That is somewhat acknowledging it. Well, not 100%, but somewhere halfway there. Let's put it halfway, not even more than that. Halfway
Hmm.
there. They can always ban it tomorrow. There's nobody to stop them. But
Yeah,
halfway we are there. Putting a 1%, of course, has destroyed volumes.
exactly.
You've been in the exchange space for a long time. You would know that it's destroyed volumes. People have will
Exactly.
simply move to DeFi's and they'll move to other countries where they don't have these restrictions, which is the downside I see. I
Mhm.
also see that when we talk about the CBDC, we should not be talking about CBDC and wiping out everything else. We
Yep.
should be talking about regulatory frameworks.
Mhm.
We should be talking about regulatory frameworks, and we haven't been talking about that for the last many years. We've been putting a lot of suggestions, yes, but we really haven't come up with anything concrete.
Mhm.
Plus, recently with the IMI and the back falling out and dissolving, new bodies coming up, it will take time for them to get a voice back in the market.
Got it.
It's we from the last budget to this budget. What have we seen? Apart from a bloodbath, apart from a lot more opacity, we've seen taxation, which I think
Yep.
only is a little bit of tangibility to what, at least if you're taxing something, you cannot ban anything, you cannot tax anything which is illegal.
Correct.
So it is some form of legitimacy which we're getting. Let's enjoy that as well for now.
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's the best thing in the world to have happened. It's very high, it can't be offset. There are a lot of pros and cons to it, but it's
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
If it was illegal, do we tax drug money, money earned in drugs? No. In arms? No. But we do on crypto means there is some legitimacy
Mhm.
that has been, that's an acknowledgement of the government to say, and the movement from banning crypto to regulating crypto, the name of the bill, is also a journey which we have undertaken. So let's pay our taxes or decide we have other countries to move to. That's the other option for people. But I would say stay put. There's a lot going to happen. I think this budget will be more decisive because there is a lot
Got
of
it.
activity in this space happening right now. We have
Yeah.
submitted a lot of things around frameworks, a lot of standards, etc. So I think it's going to happen.
Got it. So I completely agree with the income tax part, right? 30%. Although the loss offsetting thing could have been a better thing, that would have been
Hmm.
fine. It's the TDS part which is kind of bleeding the exchanges dry. And what is happening is it is kind of actually what the government was trying to curtail, the black money kind of thing happening. It actually encouraged even further. It's having the opposite effect of what they intended. So that is
Absolutely,
the bigger drawback here.
absolutely, and a lot of money moving outside. So not
Exactly.
very good. A lot of companies
Ex-
moving outside also.
Exactly. Almost all Indian crypto major players, they've all moved abroad because they can't sustain India.
Dubai is the new India now.
Sorry?
The Dubai, Middle East is the new India. Dubai is the new India, where all the
Yeah, yeah,
all the crypto company, all the crypto companies are going there.
absolutely, absolutely. And I actually call Dubai as the Silicon Valley of the East now. The Web 2 revolution, which started in Silicon Valley in California, now the
Hmm.
Web 3 revolution is happening in Dubai. So this is the
Absolutely,
Silicon Valley of the East now.
it is exactly. It is the desert has become a Silicon Valley now.
Yep, yep, yep. So if you look at it, in terms of how the Dubai government is doing, what kind of suggestions would you say, the government should kind of, look into, at least in the preliminary stages? What can they do to make it more
The three things,
adoptable?
three things right now, they should be looking at the taxation policy, taxation once again. Just like we've also seen GST, we made amendments to that. We should do the same thing for the taxation. Remove the 1%, get a clarity on what. So companies don't move out. Right now, they don't have a clarity. Once they have clarity and a policy is created, they will
Hmm.
remain here. There will
Yeah,
be no exodus.
yeah,
Why cannot India become the Silicon Valley of the East? What we
exactly.
don't have, we have less talent. No, half the companies in the Middle East are Indian companies.
Yep,
Why don't we have them here? Why don't we have our money staying in our nation? Why don't we have our talent staying in our nation? Or do we want a second, whatever the brain drain 2.0? We don't want a brain drain 2.0, right? We already had
exactly.
that brain drain to the West long time back, where our scientists and computer engineers and everybody, and doctors all went there. Now we are having a
Exactly.
Web3 talent moving towards these places. Do we need that? The government needs to have the complete. We need to have clarity. The startups need to have clarity. Founders need to have clarity. Regulators need to have clarity. Without that, we are facing a big mass exodus into the Singapore markets and Dubai markets and everywhere else. It's not the right place, the right thing for as far as I think. It's my opinion that we should really be doing it, and we should be doing it fast. We should not be dragging our feet on it no matter what. We should not be looking at what the West is doing. Why can't we become Web3 policy leaders? We missed the
Exactly.
Web1 bus. We missed the Web2 bus. Why not Web3? Why can't we be the ones who dictate policy to the West on Web3? We have the right people and the talent. Sadly, we are miss. I don't want to miss that bus. From my side, I'm doing my best. Let's see what happens.
Absolutely. Couldn't have agreed with you more. Couldn't have framed better than that myself either. Really, it was a pleasure to have a discussion with you and understand, right? Especially to articulate these important things, and who better to articulate than you?
Anytime, man. Anytime. I'm more than happy, Harsh. Anytime. And anybody who wants to reach out, reach out. I'm happy. I don't charge money. I do a lot of work free of charge. I've earned enough, so I'm good. So reach out
So,
anytime. I'm happy. And I'll leave you for now, I think, Harsh, because I have another one session coming up. But bottom line is,
sure,
I enjoyed the session. Really good questions. I enjoyed everything because these are very relevant to today. And I think people listening in should really look into all these things and feel free to give us suggestions. We'll try and see what we can do as well. Sometimes the best suggestions come from unknown sources. Feel free, reach out, put it in the comment box for Harsh and I will work on something, I'm sure. Both of us are passionate about it.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Raj sir, for taking your time out, and looking forward to have you again on my show again.
Anytime, whenever you want, let me know. All right, guys.
Awesome. Thanks a
Cheers
lot.
for now.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Take care.